moved into Contra Costa County in October, striking 3 times in just over 3 weeks, twice in Concord, once in San Ramon. Saturday night, he pried open the back door and entered the bed.
This is Joseph D'Angelo. D'Angelo joined the United States Navy in September 1964. This is where he served for 22 months as a damage control man on a cruiser. He also lost part of his finger in the Navy. This is Shannon Marie Huddle. She was a student at California State Sacramento where she had an academic foundation in family law. It was during this time, as she was studying family law, becoming an attorney, she met the Vietnam veteran Joseph D'Angelo, who was also studying criminal justice at the time. In 1973, the two got married and officially tied the knot, which is about the same time that D'Angelo ended up joining the force for Exeter. From 1973 to 76, Exeter, California had their new police officer and serial rapist. It only took roughly about a year before burglaries started popping up in Visalia, and to give you an example, this is the distance between Visalia and Exeter. As you can see, Visalia is down at the bottom, and up here this is Exeter, and this is the distance it was taking him to travel when he was committing these crimes. Now, during this time, obviously, there was rumors going around because the burglaries started turning into rapes, and then the rapes turned into murders, and they were happening in so many separate locations, they just got named so many things. It turned into a search for multiple suspects as well. There was the East Side Rapist, the Golden State Killer, and the original Night Stalker. Little did they know that this was all D'Angelo. These names stemmed from the way that he murdered and tortured his victims. It was noted that he went for couples. He often tied them up with ligatures and raped the women before shooting and bludgeoning his victims. The crazy part about all this is during this time while he's committing all these murders, he's also a police officer and his wife is just living with him. And I just like to point that out every time because I think it's so crazy every time I go through this case how he was a police officer and she was his wife and nobody knew. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit to September 11, 1975. While serving as a police officer in Exeter, California, he shot and killed Claude Snelling in the dwelling of his home with his daughter present and ended up kicking his daughter and assaulting her in the process. Claude's daughter was getting ready for bed just as a normal little girl would be. As soon as she felt something weird, she noticed that there was a strange man trying to assault her and attack her. And as her dad heard her screaming for help, she had thought about asking her dad to stop but knew he wasn't going to, as her dad's one and only goal as a father was to save her and protect her. D'Angelo ended up, unfortunately, unaliving her father. He also kicked her 3 times in the face and then fled the scene. He was shot twice by D'Angelo, who then ended up assaulting his daughter and proceeding to flee the scene.
My dad was such a gentle soul and loving, kind-hearted man who loved his family more than anything. My dad died saving my life that night, and he's my hero.
We're going to fast forward now. It's 1976 to 1979, and he is now a police officer for the Auburn Police Department in California, and he is still committing these horrible, horrendous acts. Auburn Police Department later ended up firing him for stealing a hammer and a can of dog repellent. Take notes before I do a true crime, and I just had to make sure that was right. But yeah, a hammer and a can of dog repellent. I'm not even sure what that is, but yeah. And he ended up getting fired. I tried doing some research about the dog repellent and the hammer, but I wasn't really able to find why he would have had those things or if anybody knew the reason of why he bought them. So from 1976 to 1979, before he even got fired from the Auburn Police Department, he was still committing these crimes. He would pry open their windows, their doors, steal identification cards, cash, jewelry, obviously items of value. In 1978, D'Angelo stumbled upon a couple walking their dog in Sacramento and ended up shooting the couple. Brian got shot in the head, Katie ran away screaming for help. D'Angelo unfortunately caught up and also shot Katie as well. The rapes and burglaries continued in East California, but then only escalated into more murders as things went on all throughout the California coast. It was said that he would often tie up his victims. He would grape them, especially couples. He would grape the women in front of their significant other and then bludgeon both victims to death. Deborah Manning and Robert Offerman were both murdered in Goleta near Santa Barbara. Lyman and Charlene Smith were found dead in their Ventura home. The couple was found dead later on by Lyman's 12-year-old son, and it says that Charlene was bound when they found her. In August of 1980, Keith and Patrice Harrington were slain in their home. By the time D'Angelo's first daughter was born, he had already slain and raped more than 51 people. He would go on to terrorize Southern California until 1986. On February 5th, 1981, a 28-year-old female was found bound, bludgeoned, and raped in her apartment. She was also found by her mother. In July 1981, Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez were killed in Goleta. Sanchez was shot and beaten to death. Prosecutors also stated that he was bludgeoned in the head over a dozen times. It was said he also raped and beat Domingo in the head over 10 times. No crimes were actually attributed to the Golden State Killer from July 1981 until May 1986, and this is when Janelle Cruz was murdered. Janelle Cruz was bound, raped, and bludgeoned in the head and face multiple times in her home. This was said to be his last known crime.
Serial rapist has struck in at least 2 other cities.
I always had faith that he would be caught, and then a year goes by, and you're not healed, you're not better.
Angelo went on to work for the Save Mart chain. This was in 1989, and he ended up holding the job for about 27 years. In 2016, the FBI released its newfound efforts in trying to track the Golden State Killer and open cold cases that have not been solved. The case went cold for decades. Sacramento DA said D'Angelo's name first came up as a prime suspect in 2018. What's also crazy about D'Angelo's arrest is that it was the first arrest obtained with this new form of technology. It's genetic genealogy. It's like a new technique where they take like DNA samples, I believe it was, from the crime scene, and they use that to like try to match it with, I think it was like a relative, and then like match that with the suspect. I don't really know. It's like something crazy like that. That's how they ended up catching him and finding him, and he was the first person arrested in that type of way. It's like the first time that they used that type of technology. The FBI went on to survey D'Angelo until they were able to collect a DNA sample from his trash and match that with a DNA sample from the crime scene. They were also able to match D'Angelo's DNA to other crime scene cases as well. April 2018, Sacramento Police Department was finally able to make an arrest. On June 29, 2020, D'Angelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder. Now, during this whole thing, I also wasn't able to find much information about statements or even like just reviews or anything like that his wife made. I did, however, find this statement that the wife made. It goes as follows: "My thoughts and prayers are for the victims and their families. The press has relentlessly pursued interviews of me. I will not be giving interviews for the foreseeable future." He also had to listen to some victim statements, and he made a statement himself towards the end. It was a little eerie, but all in all, I'm just glad that he's behind bars.
I've listened to all your statements, each one of them. And I'm truly sorry to everyone I've hurt. Thank you, Your Honor.